Alrighty, gang. So, the plan for this video is to walk us all through the setups that I have so far. Again, this is still in tier 5. I've accepted the tier 6 quests just to get them off of, get the little things off my map and screen. We've only done the tier 5 quests. So, the plan is to go over everything I've done to prepare for that, and then probably start tier 6 and see how quickly we can get through it with all of our foundational stuff in mind. Now, if I were to summarize what I've got going here, I'd say that it's not much, but it's honest work. So, I guess we can get started. You might have noticed this logic thing here, so I guess I'll start with that. And this, I'm not sure how familiar you are with logic, but this is actually very simple. So what it's doing is that I have crafties being made on this bench, and I have one hauler that will go along this path and then go up here to this splitter, just like that. So when it goes on this splitter, which I think I put in the wrong orientation, so I'll fix that later, it'll pick up crafties, and then in this case it's blocked off, which I'll cover in a second, go this way and drop it off for our carry bench. And as you can see, the carries in here are being consumed because it isn't a full stack. Those are brought over to a train setup for haulers, which I'll also cover later. But that is what this hauler is doing, and this is where the logic is involved. So on this side of the path, we go this way. I also have barrels here with all of my wooden sparks. I haven't made all of them yet. I'm probably going to do that once I have better Aether chart automation, and then I'm going to flesh all of this out much more. But so here I have 2 barrels for carry sparks, so I have a teleporter right here that I can teleport to, come in, grab whatever sparks I need and leave. So I have 2 for carries, excuse me, crafties, and I have a capacity sensor on both of them. So what this logic is achieving, before I go into the specifics, is that if both of these barrels are full, then I don't need the hauler to go down this path to drop off carries, right? Because the barrels are full, it'll just get to the end, bounce back, and then it'll take it even longer to get them over here to go into the carries. So it's just to save time, so that it doesn't go down this path for no reason. So that's what the logic is achieving, and let's go over how it actually does that. And as a disclaimer, there's probably a better way to do this, but this is what I came up with. So I have an AND switch here, or an AND gate. And if you're not familiar with an AND gate, there are, let me pull one up. There are 2 halves here, a half right here and a half right here. And if both of these halves receive a signal, then it'll put a signal forward. In other words, AND. So it has both, right? So this and this. So the 2 little dots are where both halves of the AND gate can receive inputs. So you see that one capacity sensor is here, going right like this, and this one is going here. And that's how the AND switch is reading both of these signals. And then the output that is going through is to a wireless signal sender that has a crafty as the signal channel. And for the settings on these capacity sensors, I've set it to detect if the quantity inside here is greater than or equal to 50, which this should be 80. What am I doing? Okay, that's kind of funny. Did I do it wrong on both of them? Apparently. Okay, well anyway. So when these are full, the AND switch, when both of these are full, so this barrel and this one, the AND gate is fulfilled, and it can put out a signal on the crafty channel. So if I go over here, this is where it's being received. He has the crafty spark, so that is what ties them together. And so the simplest way of thinking about this is the signal's being received, just activate this blocker, right? So that then if the crafties over there are full, block off this path. Now that is the simplest way of doing it, but imagine what's actually happening here. So if this hauler were to go over here and drop off the crafties and fills up those barrels, the signal over here would trigger, put up the blocker, and actually lock the hauler onto this side of the path. So we had to go a little bit further, and that's what I'm going to go into now. So there's also a pressure plate here, or if I stand on it, because right now, so those crafty barrels are full right now, right? And the blocker is up. So pretend that I'm the hauler right now, and I've dropped off the crafties, filled up the barrels, tripped the signal, the blocker is up, and I'm coming back. If I step on this pressure plate, the blocker goes down. So that's the extra step that I added. And now I'll go into how that actually works. So we have two things here. We have an AND gate and an exclusive OR gate. So how an OR gate normally works is that if you give it a signal, let's see if I can do this with, I'm actually not sure. Oh, you know what? Sure, you know what? We'll do it. We'll be that thorough. So if I step on this, see how that one little one goes forward? It's fun how they created these gates like this so that you can actually visualize the logic. If I step on this, it'll go forward. And then the thing with an OR gate is that if you fulfill both of the sides, see the little light lighting up? It'll actually still work. It'll still put something forward. I don't know if there's a little light that I can create. But there's already a light on the, the gate for us. Okay. So if I take an exclusive OR gate, you might be already putting together what this means. So see how it's going forward, but the light is not lighting up? And that's because an exclusive OR gate will only put a signal forward if only one side is fulfilled. Let's see, wire mode, get rid of you. So if I do this, see? So that now it's lighting up. And again, if I do both, it turns off. And then still learning the hotkeys for quickly doing the electricity mode. So what's going on here is that we have our signal receiver going in two directions. If the crates are full, or the barrels, excuse me, of crafties, it'll send this signal into an exclusive OR gate. And if that's the only signal here, see how only this light is lit up and this one isn't? If this one, only one side is lit up, it'll put a signal forward to the blocker. So for example, if I were to remove this wire here, blocker goes down. And I just kind of, oh, the splitter, okay, well, yeah. So the barrels are full, it's flipping the signal, it's lighting up this side, and so the signal is going through, but I just removed it, so I'll put it back now, and you'll see that it activated the blocker. The pressure plate is the second half of this. So I only want the pressure plate to affect anything if the barrels are full, right? Because the purpose of the pressure plate is to flip the blocker down when the barrels are full. If the barrels aren't full, I don't want the pressure plate to do anything. So what I've done is I've put an AND gate here in this orientation, and that's receiving the separate check of the wireless signal receiver. So if you see this wire right here, it's going into the second side of the AND gate. And if I step on this, it completes it. And then see how this light lights up? So in other words, stepping on plate fulfills AND gate and puts a second signal into the exclusive OR. And if you remember what we just talked about with the exclusive OR, that will make the exclusive OR light turn off. In other words, deactivating the blocker. But yeah, so the setup isn't really necessary. It just saves time. And sometimes that time can matter if, depending on just what you're making, how fast you have to move it. It was also just doing something like this for fun, to feel like things are a little more optimized, even though this splitter is, you know what, there we go. But yeah, so that is what this logic is. So far I've used it here and in one other place. So if you see more logic, it's just this same setup. But anyway, let's start from the very beginning. So in my original wood setup, this was just my starter area, so don't worry about this. Over here with these trees that I had next to each other, I used to have carries bringing wood over to this setup here for sawn timber. And the issue I had at the time was that I either didn't have enough carries, or carries just weren't able to move all 80 of the wood efficiently. So I've switched all of that out now for haulers. And for haulers, it's pretty straightforward, where generally speaking, if you're using more than one hauler on a track, you want to use a loop. And that's what's going on here. And what I've done is that, if you notice, there's a path in between these two one-ways, and it's making the haulers loop around against the wood deposit here, where they're not allowed to leave unless they have 20 wood, which is a full stack of wood. And that's just to make sure that, you know, it's a worse use of time if they're not going around this with a full stack. So that's just moving the wood through, and then same logic here that I've been using, where if they're out of wood, then turn around, right? Because this filter means if you have wood, then we're going to force you to keep going forward. And if you don't have wood, then you can't continue, and you're forced to go back to get more. This just keeps them close to where they want to be, whether that's with wood or kicking them back to the start sooner. So this is the same logic that I've applied for all of my setups here. As far as efficiency goes, we'll cover that really quickly too. So when you're building a setup, if I were to just put down, let's say, like, if I have a tree and I just put down a bunch of saw benches, you know, to build stuff, and I don't pay attention to how many I have, whether it's too many or too little, I might run into problems. So this is making 11.2 sawn timber a minute, and one sawn timber costs 2 wood. So this is using around 22.4, or with rounding, in-game rounding, it's possible, it's exactly 22.5 wood per minute. So if one of these benches is using 22.5 wood per minute, then 2 benches is 22.5 times 2, which is 45, which means that 4 benches is 45 times 2, or 90 wood. Now if you go over here and look at this logger, 2 crafties on a logger produces 90 wood per minute exactly. Now if you've watched my Aether shard automation guide video from early access, I covered this there as well, but if not, that's why I'm just going over it again, where the nice thing about this setup is that all of these are able to run 100% of the time and always have enough wood. Okay, well, no one saw that. That's actually a hauler thing. I should probably put crates here to keep the wood in closer proximity, but the end-to-end numbers are good. It's just that getting the wood there, the travel distance is unaccounted for. But it still might, yeah, so it's a little bit off because of the travel time. Or actually, wait, we got it that time. So anyway, but that's why there are 4 here. The 4 here are intentional. And the same thing with this setup, where we have 4 saw benches also making sawn timber. And all of that sawn timber is going along this path here. And that's going into 1 saw bench for wooden panels. And if you look at the wooden panel recipe, that's because the wooden panel recipe with 2 crafties makes 22.5 wooden panels per minute, and 1 wooden panel is 2 sawn timber. In other words, this is using 22.5 times 2, or 45 sawn timber a minute, and that's exactly what these 4 saw benches are making, like we just went over. And all of this is intentional design by the developers, because automation games try to give you these little recipes and ratios to figure out. The wooden blade setup we have is just kind of weird, so I'm not going to go into it. Like here I have two benches with 2 crafties, and then I have one with stumpies instead, because of these total to an amount that I calculated that fit into this more nicely. It might be wrong, but I'm not going to bore you with it. Like, it's the same deal with the haulers, and then the wood's being brought over, and swords aren't super important. Well, like, they are for choppies, but yeah, just don't worry about this. So this is our, like, pretty much our entire wood setup for the main basic stuff. I have bark being made down here, but I haven't put as much focus into that yet because it's not making a ton of important stuff. So let's go over our spark setups now with haulers in mind. So for this, I did try coloring the paths to make this a little bit easier to visualize, and pardon the train rail that's in the way. So the yellow path is for wood, and the red path is for Aether shards, and you'll see this hauler here on this path for the Aether shards. Now, one thing to know with Aether shards really quickly is that, and I'm just full on everything right now, I guess, because nothing's working. Okay, well, we'll see if that's fine or if that's an issue later. Okay, so one thing to know about Aether shards is that, for example, this bench making stumpies is making 3.8 stumpies a minute, and one stumpy needs 1 Aether shard. So this is using 4 Aether shards per minute. For a setup like this, 1 hauler is plenty to keep all of these going, because a hauler can carry 40 shards at once, and if each bench is only using 4 shards a minute, then it's more than, like, 1 stop by a hauler, if this is empty, can keep this machine going for 10 minutes, right? So that's why for this process, I only have 1 hauler, and the path is set up for it to bounce, just bounce between all of them. There's no loop here, in the same way that the wood paths that I just showed you are. So this one, the hauler's gonna bounce through this one, and then go back. So like this pathing may not be the most efficient, but because of how few Aether shards these use a minute, it's actually fine. And I also say that because making a second loop for the Aether shards, a loop in the same way with what I've done with the wood here, would take up a lot more room. So this is also just works with how I've used the space here, which probably isn't very good, but that's why I said earlier, it ain't much, but it's honest work. So for the wood here, same thing. The haulers are going around, and they're only be able to leave this space if they have 20 wood. And then, because I want to make sure that there's always enough wood for this, I have it so that they're not allowed to leave this area until they've dropped off all their wood. So with this crate, I have 4 stacks and all the wood on these haulers ready to go all the time. And then what that means is that when these haulers need wood, there's always just a bunch here ready to go for them. And then as far as the loop itself, it's the same thing, where only go to a machine if you have 20. And I've put these one-ways here. These don't actually serve a purpose. For example, there's no path in between these two. It's just to help you visualize the direction that the loop is going in. So they go like this. They do a little hook over here to give a little smooch to this bench on the way. But then they just keep going around. And then from these being fed, we have, on this gray path, we have 2 stumpy workbenches going into our crafty bench. Now you might have noticed earlier, on these stumpy benches, and they're actually making stumpies, I only have stumpy sparks. I don't have crafties. So you might be wondering, why is that? Well, for this crafty bench with 2 crafties, see how it's making 3.8 crafties a minute, and 1 crafty is 2 stumpies. And when you have a bench making stumpies, with 2 stumpies and not crafties, it's making 3.8 stumpies a minute. If I were to do this, see how it's 5.6? But 5.6 is actually more than I need. So by having 3.8 times 2, because I have this one going here, we're actually perfectly satisfying what this bench is requiring. So that's why that's set up like that. And then these two stumpy benches over here are on a path to make more crafties. And those are delivered over here. And these are directly put into our carry setup. So that's pretty much it for like our basic sparks. I'll show the choppy setup over here as well. So for choppies, it's the same deal. I have a hauler over here bringing over the wooden blades. And it's probably, yep, there it is. That's bringing in the wooden blades from our wooden blade setup. And those come in right here. Or we in this setup here, we have one bench making choppies. And how this loop is, see, there's no logic on it. There's no one ways or anything. Because what happens is, since haulers will always take a right turn first if they have that option, it'll go straight through here automatically, bounce over to drop off its wooden blades. Then it'll turn around and go this way and drop off anything it has left into the compressor. Just because at that point we don't need the extra. Then it'll go this way. It can only go left. And then it'll favor the right turn and go this way. So this actually does exactly what we want it to without the need for any one-ways or filters. But anyway, so we have the wood here. Same loop as before. We're also just feeding wood into the waypoint here. And the wood is being looped around. And then same deal with the hauler, is we only have one hauler for Aether shards just because it carries way more than we could ever need for these 3 benches. Now, one unique thing I added with the hauler wood loop here in terms of space usage, because in this case I have the Aether shards running straight across left to right. I put this little wait gate, because if you look at the path, what's happening is that, well, actually I can wait for the next hauler to come through. So when a hauler comes through, it's going to come here and wait. It's going to take the right turn, drop off its wood, bounce back, and then keep going. And the purpose of the wait gate is that, let's say we had 2 haulers here in a row. I don't want another hauler to queue up and go this way if the hauler that just dropped off its wood is coming back, right? Because then they get into a little jam. So these little gates here ensure that they can go right, drop off their stuff, and bounce back without anything coming into their path and blocking them. So it's still a loop, just with that little additional change. Otherwise, it works the exact same way. And then for our choppy output, we either put our choppies into the barrel here for me to pick up, or we have them being split off into our spark thrower setups. And it looks like this one's a little low on choppies at the moment, which is not ideal. But otherwise, pretty straightforward. So these 2 benches are making stumpies that go straight into the choppies, and then this one is the stumpies, and this one goes straight into helping our spark throwers out. So that's all that's going on here, and that about does it for our wood tier setups. I have a few things over here that I might cover later. They're kind of like a failed project of stuff that I was trying before tier 6 that I realized were not quite advanced enough to do yet. Let's see what I have. I think over here, I forgot what I have over here. I think this is just a basic rope and paint setup. I haven't put a lot of time into paint. I just did it for that little demonstration, but yeah, this is just our rope. So this doesn't really have to be covered, but since we're here. So we got bark coming in, we got leaves coming in. Since the game gives you recipes that let you create both of these off the logger itself with no extra step. We have those going into 2 looms. And then we just have a barrel of rope ready to go for us if we happen to need a lot at once. And also a supply chest. So if I have to build anything with rope, which I think, like for example a zip line, the supply chests make it so that I can just build that wherever, even if I don't have rope or stuff in my inventory. Yeah, then for our dowsing stones, for dowsing stones you want an area, unless you have like a lot of good train logistics, you want an area that has a stone node nearby and some wood nodes. So here we have quartz just being mined off of this driller, endlessly fed down the zip line, put into a stone workshop, which is taking in our rope from this loom, and then it's just given us a bunch of dowsing stones, which are first put into a supply chest, and then second put into a compressor. I don't have a dedicated Scouty Spark set up yet, but the dowsing stones are also used for that, and I'll probably get some of those on a train at some point too, to give that its own dedicated setup. So now I think that does it for wood. So let's start going over our stone stuff. And this has been covered in an older video when I first made it. This one I actually didn't have to update with haulers because the carriers do a good enough job. So here we have 90 stone coming in, just like wood on a logger. And this is a little compact, but we have 10 stone cutters all being fed by this one drill. So you'll see that the crafties are all inwards, which means that the carries will drop off their stone and they'll loop around. So all the inputs are being fed by the carries here. So what we have here is a stone cutter making stone plates, and it's consuming 5.6 times 2 stone per minute, which for my purposes I just rounded up to 12. So if we have 12 from one stone cutter, and if we have 5 of these making stone plates, that's 5 times 12, or 60. So this side of these are consuming 60, and since we have 90 total coming in, that leaves 30 left over for this side. And if you look at the recipe for pebbles, it's using 5.6 times 1 per minute. So if I just round up to 6, then one of these makes 6 times 5 is the perfect 30, which is why at least maybe there's better rounding to account for the decimals here, but for me this is good enough. So in my eyes, this perfectly consumes 90 stone. And then just in case, I have a barrel here to collect extra stone if I want extra stone, a supply chest that lets me build with stone all the time, and then a compressor to consume any stone that happens to be left over. And as far as a dedicated stone setup, like, at least for the, I think tier 4 is where this first comes up, this is, like, pretty good. It gives you more than enough. You'll see that here on the outputs, I've put in the chests for quests at times. I can just put it here, and then they'll fill up on their own remotely, and then I can just go do other stuff. That's our starter stone setup. Now we can go look at haulers. Alrighty, so at a quick glance, this might look familiar to what I just showed you. So we have one path coming off of this drill that loops around, and oh look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 stone cutters making pebbles and 5 making the stone plates. The reason I set it up that way is just because that's how much this can produce. So there's no, in my eyes, it's like there's no reason not to make this many. And then what I have these going into is that the pebbles are put into this stone workshop to make the path tiles, since that takes pebbles and limestone. So the second drill here is for limestone because there's a recipe for that lets you get limestone directly off of a stone node instead of having to go farm coral. So that's giving us path tiles, which are then going into path tile plus stone plate, which gives us wheels. And those wheels are put down over here for our hauler setup. And because of the limited space here, I didn't maximize the efficiency for this. So for example, this is using 22.5 stone plates per minute, and I'm producing more than that. So this is producing more than this can consume, but I'm fine with it. And because I have extra stone plates here, I can always put the extra into something else at some point. But for now, I've just left it. And I could set up a compressor, but I'm not too worried about it. And I think same thing with, now actually for the pebbles on this side, we are using all of them. Because this is making, or consuming, so 5.6 times 10 is 56. And this is making 5.6 times 2 is 11.2 times 5, which is also about 56. So this one is actually good. But anyway, so then the wheels come over here. And I have a little bit of a goofy way of getting over here. We made the jump, cool. But yeah, the wheels come down. I have two spark workstations making haulers over here. And the haulers are put into these barrels and they're just ready to go for me. I'll cover all the train stuff on this later. So the other part of this is that I have limestone from this drill going into the stone workshop here for the wheels. But you'll see it's also going this way through this cannon. And that's because over here, I have a kind of scuffed but dedicated setup just for stone paths, since obviously you want to have a lot of those so that when you're building stuff, you're not too limited. So all that's happening over here is I have limestone coming in, and then there's a little bit of vertical logistics shenanigans to get it to where I want it to go. Then I have stone here making pebbles, so that I can just put pebbles and limestone into this to always have a decent production amount of path tiles for my supply chest, so I can just build paths wherever I want. Now, depending on who you ask, 160 might not be enough, and having only 3 stacks ready to go also might not be enough, but for me, I'm okay with it. And because of this stone node being on such a small little space, I was fine with just making something nice and compact. For me, at my current stage of progression, it works. It gets the job done. So let's see, I guess now we can start going into our trains. So you'll see I did some exploring. And I don't know if all maps are like this, but over here I have a forest area. Up here I have a bunch of ancient work things for spark benches. And over here is like the Bielefeld dimension. So for the trains, we will now start getting into that. So this might be overkill, but what I wanted to do was make a train that would come from here, go around this track, and then go by all of the waypoints that I have in the mountain biome. We didn't reach this one, but we don't talk about that. Don't worry about it, because I forgot it. So these aren't lit up because I actually don't have the waypoints, the waypoint range unlocked yet for these, because I think the items for that are in tier 6. But I wanted to, you can kind of see it. There's just this rectangle going around of trains delivering wood. So I just pretty much made a setup using these 3 trees here, combined with crates, to try and shove as much wood as possible into this area, so that when a train comes by, it can just be bombarded with wood and filled up, and then it can go on its way. Now right now, all of my waypoints that I have accessible are topped off, so there's still wood in these. But you'll see that this is just queuing up a ton of wood to get the train filled up. And I think that I have 3 trains specifically dedicated to wood delivery. You'll also see that this one has the wood identifier on it. So this train station here is dedicated to picking up wood for delivery, but you'll see that there's no path right here for its fuel. And that's because my current fuel spot is here on a separate station. Now, if you're thinking, well, why don't you just refuel on this one? It's because I wanted to make a dedicated refueling station anyway for my trains, because you'll see that another track intersects right here that doesn't go through the wood pickup. And that's because I also have a train carrying my crafty sparks around for the haulers. Now, obviously, that train doesn't have to pick up wood for anything, so that has its own track. Oh, we froze. Oh, we're back. Okay, comes in here to get wood. So as far as the train track junctions, I can talk, go. Here's how they work. So you'll see here that on this little support thingamajig, I put in wood as a train pole identifier, and there's a path branching off that comes here. And that's because I have the train carrying the carry sparks also uses this main rail line that I made. So they share it. They don't each have their own. And because of that, I don't want the carry spark train to come down to this station, which is designed just for wood or the waypoint, right? So how these work is that you want your main line, the stuff that doesn't have any kind of condition on it, to come out the top center. You see that? You want the ones that are conditional, in other words, only if you have wood or have the wood identifier, you want those to be what branch off. Because the condition always applies to the branch, not the main line. And if you were to not do it this way, then like your logic would be reversed, and I'd be dropping off carries here, and that isn't what I want. So I didn't realize this right away, and that's why some of my rails are a little bit ugly looking. But let me go over here to show you as well. So here we're in a situation where we want to drop off wood, right, for this waypoint. So we have the path going forward, and then the wood branching off. Now, just over here, we have the path going forward, and then a path branching off with carry spark identifier, because we want carries to go up here to our carry setup. And please ignore this hideous loop that I made to make the train loop back onto the path here. But then on that same note, if I go this way, I have to be careful about how I do this track coming back, because if I sent the train back down this exact path, then it's gonna go directly the way that it came from and bump into another train. So here I have the branch off going this way, and then it intersects back with this main line so that I can keep going through the loop. And then the wood drop off here, you'll see, also intersects back at this point. So that's how they go and rejoin the main track again. And right now, that's all that I'm using it for. I could be doing more with it, but again, this to me is, like, it's substantial. It's getting the job done. And because I've fed all of my teleporters here, and I've placed a few of my own, it's very quick to get what I need, just to, whether it's for building or for fulfilling quests. And that's pretty much everything that I've done. You might have seen some stuff over here, and that's because in this area there's a ton of elephants, and I tried making a spark thrower setup with choppies. That's also what everything over here was trying to do, to farm the elephants. But basically with the setup that I made here, it was not enough. It could not make enough choppies to handle all the elephants in that area. So I just gave up on it for now. But I'm not covering it because I don't advise it. It might be possible, but unless you know what you're doing, you might just be making a bunch of infrastructure to send a bunch of choppies to their death. And I think that's it. I think that about covers pretty much everything. So let's start looking at tier 6 stuff. Yeah, so for example, I can pin this. I can run over here and start placing our turn-in chests. I forgot what they're actually called, but I can do this. Because again, we have supply chests on all of our stuff, which extends our inventory. So I can just put this here, and then my inventory's a little full right now. Let's see. I can do this, pick up a bunch of rope, put it in here. There we go, and because it's full, I can just move it. Put this back in, and we're good. So we're good there. Over on this setup, I had a little dedicated limestone thing just for producing limestone to go into the turn-in chests. So I can do, let's see. Yep, so what I can do here is just go, this is for scientist. So I can do that. And then same deal if I want to. Just go boink, and we need 200. Yeah, I can just leave this. So we're good there. Dowsing stones are over here. Then what I can do is just temporarily move the compressor, put down one of these, and then I might as well just leave these haulers out of here. But I can do this. There's rope in here somehow. Maybe I left it on the ground. But we want dowsing stones in this. Okay. So that's done. Then we're just waiting for the limestone. So this quest is taken care of. For the furnace, I think I have, okay, I have one rock terran shell. And then, let's see, we also want to give them a bunch of quartz. I guess while I'm over here, I'll check my other quests to see if I need quartz for anything. To save myself the trip back. Yep, so we got our limestone done. So I can do, this is for quartermaster, was it? No, the twins. Yeah, so that'll just start filling up. I could manually put stuff in it, but we're just gonna let that cook. And let's see if we can find a rock terran. Is anybody home? Oh god. Okay. Cool, so we got that. What did I get? Oh, I got 3. I was thinking I'd get 1. Well, I almost fought that second one because of that, but nope. Okay. So we can go turn these in. Let's do that. So if you click something to carry it, or to pick it up, and you right click, that lets you place down just 1. Okay, so our quartz is still going. We can go turn in the scientist quest, which I imagine we might get another one. There's also a modular ribbon writer that transfers the signal from a wire to any of the 4 bits on the ribbon. Okay, that sounds cool. I might look at this later, but counter gate. Ooh. Oh, that's fun, because then I could just, I'm sure there's other uses, but the one that came to mind is just, oh, how many of this item have I made? Then I could just count it. Oh, well, I guess that'd only count the spark, not the actual item, but that's still fun. That's still fun. We can try to find ways to implement that later. Okay, let's keep looking at our quests. So, the mayor is the capstone. So we can look into... So we don't have fabric or explosives made yet. That's probably what we'll do next, but... Alright, this gives us fabric. So we can do rope and stone wheels now. Let's see what else we have. We can just start pinning these, since we have enough space. Oh yeah, I mean, we could do any of these first. We're not hurting for bigger crates and barrels at the moment, I don't think. So let's see, we can just go from the top. We can put barrels down for, I said barrels, but the turning chest for the rope. There already is one here. Oh, and that barely got it. Cool. So that handles that. Let's go do stone wheels. We have so many haulers. I'm comfortable delaying our haulers a little bit. So let me put, let's see if it'll even fit. Yes, to put this here for our stone wheels. So this will take, not too long, but it'll take a few minutes to fill up. Looks like about 10 minutes. Now we can do our stone plates here as well. And actually, I have cut myself off. I have to go all the way around. Okay, so this will fill up. And then for the path tiles themselves, we can set this up over here. Let's see, we don't have a lot of room, but it should still work. Just like that. Cool, we have our quartz for the Mason sisters. So we can go turn in. I forgot what this gives us. Oh yeah, okay, this is important. Coal is good for trains and everything else. And small vial is making me think of the start of Aether shard automation. Let's keep checking our quests. This one is being worked on. This one, not quite. And this one is also being worked on. So we can do our fertilizer setup yet, or next. Let's see if we have the recipe for that. We do. Oh, it's just leaves. Okay. Well, actually, if this is our dedicated fertilizer setup, we actually want... So fertilizer is also eventually used for explosives. And explosives are used for the boomy sparks that we eventually get. So we actually want this fertilizer setup to be close to the stone biome. And close to where we'd be making those sparks. So I think actually I want to use these trees over here to make our fertilizer. And because, yeah, I can see all these ancient thingamajigs. So we're switching to do that. Alright, so we are making fertilizer here. I think I'll try to do it off of these 2 trees at the top and just tuck it away. So let's see what we're working with. That's a lot of trees. Okay, so we've successfully deforested. I haven't tried this before, but I wonder what happens if I do a attack command, if they'll... Okay, yeah, they will pick stuff up for me. Okay, that's actually incredibly convenient. Yeah, and I didn't know this, I learned this the other day, but apparently haulers do the same amount of damage as choppies. They both have 2 little dots, which I think be the same or similar. Okay, so we've cleared out this space. Let's place a logger. That. Crafties. And then that can make, okay, yep, 90. Let's look at the recipe for fertilizer. Needs a cutter. We'll try something like this, and let's see what we're working with. So 7.5 times 4 would be 15 times 2, or 30. So each one of these can make 30, so I actually only need 3. And then as far as how many haulers I want to sustain this, probably I'll just use 2. So I'll want a loop. And I can do... something like this. I can also do this, put quantity filter, set it to 20, and then we want a one-way right here so that they don't go back the wrong way. Cool. And then let's see, so we have our output for leaves, or for fertilizer. Well, actually, wait, the quest is just fertilizer, so this is actually all we want right now. So I can put chest here for the woodsman, tuck this on, and we're good. So we can leave this for a bit. Oh, we got another quest. Yeah. Spark pen. Oh, coral. Okay. A fun little... We can go do that while our other stuff is working for us. Okay, we currently have a nice number of coral. Okay, we got our coral. Fertilizer's almost done, and stone wheels are getting there. Oh yeah, I want to set up the stuff. I can pin these now. Pin. So path tiles, stone plates. Oh, then he also wants 80 hauling sparks. That's just rude. Okay, so path tiles are moving along. We want stone plates. This is just over here. We're gonna do stone plates for the mayor here. And we should already have enough just lying around. There we go. And then our path tiles will fill up. We can go turn in the woodsman's quest to get explosives. Okay, we got explosives now. And let's see. So I made leaves here, but I made the mistake of that there is not a stone node nearby. So we will have to figure that out. Let's see, because these are making the dowsing stones. I guess I could bring it in from over here. That feels a little cumbersome, but I guess that's my only option because I want to move the explosives over here for spark production anyway. So I guess that is what we'll do. And I might as well, let's see, if we're moving, let's see, what's explosives again? Limestone. If I'm moving limestone. Oh wait, well then what I can do is just throw it on a train. Well, I can probably use, I'll still use this one. Then I can put it on the rail and just have it loop back. Yeah, because then that won't actually add too much bulk to our infrastructure. There's just a nice little hole right here. I guess this is it. Yep. Okay, so something like this. Oh yeah, this is just for limestone, right? So yeah, we just want this to go straight into train platforms. And I don't know, I forgot if the... So what can one of these hold? This can hold, oh, 2 big stacks? Okay, I think they buffed it since the early access. So to get this one started, we would have to give it a lot of wood. I don't think I'm going to have it... I might just send it around the whole entire track. That's obviously inefficient, but that'll just mean there's more limestone for it to pick up once it gets back, and then I don't have to have extra tracks branching off yet. So let's do that. And I'm still very bad at making these loops, as you will see me demonstrate. It doesn't help that it's also mostly off my screen, but that's also just an excuse. Okay, so that's our super graceful loop around. And then we want it to be able to come back to this as well. So we're going to create a branch off here. Oh wait, can it not go straight into the, I guess, So this will be the limestone. Okay, now let's get some wood. All right. So if I put this here, and then actually, because these can hold so much, it means that the limestone's going to come off of the back cart for a while. I wonder, I guess I should reverse this. So they'll loop this way, and we want them to go this way if they have enough stuff. I can call them back, do this, and then do that. Oops, not you. Then we also want a one-way, doing that, okay. Now I can, yeah, so now we're good. And this is the limestone locomotive, and we'll just give it a ton of wood. Okay, cool, and it just waits. That'll bring limestone around endlessly until I give it somewhere to go. So now we can go here and prepare the limestone drop off. So to make fertilizer, or to make explosives, we need a wood workshop that's taking in both of these. So this is making 7.5. It takes in 15 fertilizer a minute. And I am making, oh, okay. So I can do, so each of these is making 15 fertilizer a minute, and this takes in 15 fertilizer a minute. That means that I can actually just do, let's see. Let's actually, this doesn't give us enough room. So I'll do something like, let's throw these down for now. And then we also need limestone, which is going to come in on the train, which I can have come in over here. Yeah, we'll see how that works. So if we are transporting explosives up through here, I might just do vertical logistics for that. But for now, like, we just want the explosives. So I can put something for Granny here, do this, and then throw a hauler on it. And then let's figure out how we're going to branch off the train. So we can branch off of this one. Okay, this should be enough room. Let's look at our train tracks. I want the station to run like this. And then the loop around like this. And there's still enough room around these if I ever want. Okay. Cool, so a train comes down, train and drops off limestone. We can put big crate for that. I guess we can just do it. You want to put crates right next to your drop off so that you can get the stuff off the train as fast as possible. We'll put limestone. And now we also want to be able to send it back into the main train system, right? And you want to make sure it goes the right way. So I should be able to do this. And then also put limestone on this one too. And that's actually, I didn't plan for this, but it's right here. Ready to go. So we have it at 15 seconds. Let's see how much it can drop off in that time. I think that might have been about perfect to get one big stack off. That's all these can hold. So I think as far as we're concerned for this, this is good. Okay. So that's our explosives going. Now we can go, okay, we have our stone wheels. And actually I have to go take that off, take the chest off of our wheels so they keep going back into haulers. Because we also want to set haulers up for the old guy. I can put a big crate here, a big barrel, which I think they also buffed since the last time I used it. Oh, 4 barrel. Oh, yeah. Cool. Then we're actually good. So we want explosives for Granny and Old Guy, and then we want to turn in 1 Boomy and 1 Puffy, which is a matter of finding their shrines. We have some explosives going in. Now we want to make our fabric. We can turn in our fabric quest. Cool. And then we're turning in nothing else. Alright. Oh, and we have our stone plates. I think we did that manually. Explosives are going. We have fabric now, so now we want to do fabric. So fabric needs bark and rope, which needs bark and leaves. And we need a loom. So we need Pengus tendon for that. And we don't have any, so we have to go commit murder. Okay, so we got that. And then if we're making fabric, probably nestle that somewhere in here. See what we're working with. Bark, rope, and then rope is bark and leaves. So we can cut down these trees. The bark has to go to rope, but also to the fabric itself. I'll make rope. Oh, it also needs a loom. Wait, then I need more Pengus tendons. Wow. I'm gonna take down this fowl just because I've killed one before already. Oh shoot. I forgot about that part. So I don't actually know if this is the case, but I'm in early access. There's a decent chance that I was the first one to kill a fowl, just because I did it like a few hours after early access came out in the first place. I'm not saying it was me, but just knowing that I did it that early was kind of fun. I posted a picture of it in the Discord. This guy's chonky. Oh wait. Oh, that was quick. Okay. We're almost there. There we go. But we are still looking for Pengus. And can I do this and get them back? Okay. Not bad, not bad. Okay, we got our tendons. I think we got 3 there. So we should have enough for a very quick, ugly setup here. Let's see, this is making 11.2 rope a minute, and this is consuming 45? What? Okay. Let's see how many things of... so this consumes a full 90. Okay, wait. So this thing alone needs... Okay, you know what? We can actually... With that information, we can flesh this out better. Right now I'm splitting them between these two, but this thing, one of these alone, can consume all of the bark created from 1 logger. Yeah, so now see it can do this little bump forward and bounce back without the risk of the other one bumping into it. Oh wait, we want this to have bark. Fortunate. So I guess while we do this, let's go check out our range for shrines. Machine range. I need a Puffy and a Boomy. So I guess, does that mean that they're already in my range and I just have to find them? And I haven't found them yet? Oh yeah, we can. Very cool. Okay, let's go turn these in, just so we don't lose them. And to get the inventory space. Cool, then yeah, so we're just waiting on our fabric and explosives. So let's go do... I forgot where it was, somewhere on the map. I remember just seeing a lot of Penguses in one spot. So let's go try and find those and introduce ourselves and not totally kill them like Anakin with the younglings. I think it might have been up here. If it is up here, then I'll feel really cool for remembering. And we were wrong. Oh, well actually wait, but this is... I wonder if I can... Oh, there's 4, okay. We're gonna put a sign here to say, hey, there's a buttload of rock Terrans here. Oh wait, here are the Penguses. Okay, wait, then I was kinda right. It was right next to where I thought it was. Okay, perfect. That was very good. And then I'll just remember that there's a bunch of Penguses next to the rock Terran post. Okay, so we can go back here and boost up our stuff, our fabric. Then I can do this. Same idea. Cool. So that'll give us a lot more. Let's see, this is outputting a lot, like 30 a minute. Yeah, so the hauler can handle that. That'll give us a lot more fabric going in here. And I wonder, this would be a nice time to look at our logic to see if there is a way. Oh yeah, you know what I can do? Okay. This is kind of obvious, but I haven't just tried putting time into thinking about this yet. Because one issue I'm always having is, like, if I put a thingy somewhere. Let me finish doing this so I'm not... Okay. Let's start off with a blocker. Probably went right by it. There it is. You'll probably see, once I place this down, you'll see what I'm getting at. Okay, so for example, we want the divine guy, or the researcher to get 200 explosives. So if this is at or greater than 200, then I can have it activate this blocker. So now what'll happen is that once this actually gets us to 200, it will detect that it's 200 or greater and put this up so that they stop going in. Now it's also going to trap the hauler here, but that's fine. All this does is it saves me from having to come back and have a chest full of this stuff and having to put it somewhere. And then none of my other setups right now, actually I can go do this to the explosives as well. So I don't just have a bunch of extra explosives. Well, actually, extra explosives is fine. I can put that into the boomy sparks later. Okay, so old guy is done with explosives and Granny is just about done. So we got here at the right time instead of having to set up logic to prevent these from overflowing. There we go. So now we're just waiting on our fabric, which should be a little bit stronger now after giving it more looms. Let's see if our haulers are delivering enough stuff though. And then let's see, these are making 11.2 times 4, and this is consuming 11.2, or wait, 22.5 times 2 is the same thing as 11.5 times 4. So I think this should be efficient, or 4 to 1 in other words. Okay, so we're about to get all of our fabric in, and we can check our little logic that's about to go off. Yep, so now we just won't have a bunch of stuff going in there, a bunch of fabric. So let's go turn this in and see if we get anything else. Oh, we do. So we can now make Puffy and Boomy Sparks. Okay, so we do get the miasma here, but I believe it isn't until the next tier that we can actually turn it into Aether shards, or maybe we do get it now. Let's see. So small vials, I think, need quartz. Let's see what we're working with. Small vial is quartz and a furnace, and then for the furnace, let's see, we could go turn our refueling station into coal now. Let's just do that first. But you know what? I think for for coal, I need rock terran shells, if I recall correctly, for a furnace. Yeah, okay. And we have one. But you know what? We know where to get rock terrans from. They're over here. And we need stone sparks for that. Yeah, boomy sparks. Oh, you know what? I'm jumping around a little bit. Let's go turn one of these in for our waypoints. Okay. I don't have any fabric on me, so that's a bummer. Now we can go back. We want rock terrans, we want rock sparks, and we can grab some rockies for that. I'm pretty sure that the boomies are one use, so we're not going to just throw them at rock terrans like that. Ow, please stop. Oh, that's tragic. Why are you like this? Oh, I actually do have 5 stacks of haulers. We'll just actually use haulers for this. So we're gonna teleport. There we go. That was very profitable. So I mentioned doing coal for our trains. We don't really have to do that yet. Let's just look at the vials, which we need furnaces for. And then ideally, we can eventually use the small vials to go towards a full Aether Shard automation setup. So let's see, we have tons of miasma over here. We honestly don't even need that much for Aether Shard automation. And I think, so I remember, now I'm referencing my old video in my head. I think over here we should be fine. And hopefully over here it's nice and flat. And that'll be fun because it was in the almost the exact same spot as my video was. Let's see, yeah, just over here. Oh, but I'll have to bring, you know what, I can turn, I wonder if you can use coal on, I might just be able to just completely swap out my wood delivery to coal delivery. That would actually be perfect. Let's experiment with that once we're over here. Oh yeah, so like an area like this is great. This is pretty uneven. So we get the miasma here. I guess, is there anything where it's like directly next to a stone node? Not really, maybe up here? Let's see, so if there's a stone node up here, I mean over here though I know that it's flat. So it just means I have to move the miasma a little bit farther, but that's fine. So what we can do, and also there's a waypoint here that's going to be dropping off coal eventually, and I can have some of that coal go over here. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. And then we can start from here. Furnace, oh I can make a bunch. Very, very nice. Let's see, so if we're making vials with this, we're going to want a lot of quartz coming in, and also room for the coal to be inserted. And I don't know if they changed the Aether Shard process or the full thing. So what we can do is we're going to have the coal be the one where they just kind of cross over and tap it. We're going to put a space between this. And put this over here. Oh, the caller didn't like that, I guess. I want the waypoint to be prioritized. Okay, so what I can do is this. I think this should give us what we want. The only question is, I think one hauler can handle this. Well, I actually have no idea. We'll find out. Yeah, so by leaving this space in the center, it means that the hauler only has to cross over the quartz path once instead of going through it twice. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Old guy, okay. So we're gonna do this. I wonder how quick I can get it, knowing how to set these up now. So we want to give him 80. And go like that. Oh yeah, then these are on the wrong recipe. And then there's also room for us to expand to a 5th furnace. I forgot how many we need. Hopefully it's not more than that, so that I can use this setup here, but I guess we'll find out. It's funny because I could just go check my guide right now. But it's fine. Oh yeah, and then I have to go get I can leave this with one crafty for now. Yeah, then I don't think we'll get the raw Aether. I think we might get it after this at the end of the tier. But I guess we'll see. Because when I did Aether automation in my guide, I went straight from the full process into the bigger vials. Because I completely missed, I think, the smaller step, which could be what we're about to get right here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so we got the collectors. Okay, yeah, so we just got Aether Shard automation. That's huge. So we should have, yep, we got Squillikins. We can easily get enough Aether Shards for this. If any, I'll just put them in their own supply chest. And then miasma vials. Okay. Yeah, this logic thing for the capacity sensor here is great. So we're putting 200 into this. We can already get it started. And now let's go figure out our miasma vials. So we are going to need puffy sparks for that, but I don't know if we actually need puffy spark production at this point. We need rocky sparks and fabric, and the puffy shrine is on the left side of the map. So I'll go up here and throw some together really quickly once I have fabric. And then as far as Aether Shard automation goes, we technically have it. I might not fully utilize it until we have the next level of it in tier 7. I guess it'll depend on how easy it is to expand or not. Okay, then we already have 10 or 12 because we got some from the quest. Alright, so we have our miasma collector down. Now, how miasma works is puffies are immune to it. You see that I've put puffies for putting things into and taking it away from the collector. Just so that now I can put a hauler here. And the hauler can now help take things away without worrying about the hauler actually getting poisoned. Cool, so now we have our little vials being put here. And then I can put quantity filter. And let's see, if we're making... So this takes in 7.5 times 2. So 15 small vials a minute. Let's see what our actual small vial production is. So we're making 0.8 times 4, which is less than 15. So we actually want one. We do want one more furnace. And then our miasma vials will come back here, which maybe I didn't... When I placed this from the top, I was like, oh, it'll come to this general area. So I guess we'll just have it, for now, we'll just have it go right up next to this one here. Okay, gang, I checked something. I can actually put crafties on this and they don't die. Unless they changed it. Yeah. So crafties just don't care. Good for them. Okay, so we have our miasma. Our quantities, or our ratios, like we're gonna need more furnaces eventually. For now, because I still don't know what the full process is off the top of my head. Because we don't have the big vials unlocked yet. We're just gonna roll with this. So we can put a path here, put a blocker. We'll do... We probably don't need this extra space, but we're gonna do it like this anyway. And we'll do capacity. Oh, we throw on a hauler. Okay, so we got all of our vials. Now let's turn these in and see what we got. Okie dokie, we got it. So let's see what we're able to do with this. As far as if I haul it here or get a little bit going. So I want to check the numbers for things and make sure we have enough space to actually fully expand. All right. So we want to add in... Yeah, because if we distill it here, we're eventually going to have to rip it out and then add the extra step onto this because we get more recipes that use these to make the larger vials. But I think we just take the raw... Yeah, I don't remember. So for now, we are not going to do the Aether automation. So we can turn in this tier. So that honestly didn't take too long. We got... There wasn't much to it aside from the explosives and other things. And we don't have the other sparks fleshed out yet. But I'm going to... Once we have Aether shards coming in, and I don't have to worry about my thrower setups falling apart, and we just have tons of Aether shards for everything, and there's no downtime, then I can actually start making a ton of sparks and moving them along the railway and to these different locations that I want them to be in. And we'll go from there. So I think that'll do it. Let's see if we get any more quests upon completing. Since that... Wait, there's a bridge? Wait. Wait, what? Let's see. Okay, I had no idea. Well, like, it's kind of obvious, but I had no idea this existed. So what is this? I guess we don't know yet. Wait, can I cut these down? Oh, I can. Wait, then what? Interesting. I guess this will have to wait until next time so I can actually give us a cliffhanger. Let's see what they... Huh. Nothing about the bridge yet, but okay. Thank you guys for watching, and if what we just did is any indication, we have Aether shards coming up, which will lead to a lot of very exciting things. So thank you for watching as always, and take care. Oh, and please subscribe. You should do that, because I'm worth it, I promise. Okay, thanks.